don't know what comes to mind for you, for your experience in life when it comes to fathers, but for me, Father's Day is a day of design. Pienso en diseños, es lo que pienso. And as you guys can tell, there's some of our props getting ready for Vacation Bible School, which begins next week. La próxima semana iniciamos nuestra escuela bíblica de vacaciones y ya pueden ver que se ha empezado a decorar el santuario y otras partes de aquí de la iglesia. And as you guys know, with some of this work that has been done, I'm thinking of design. ¿Sí? Hay cosas que tienen que diseñarse. Maybe some of our ladies are more creative when it comes to the actual drawing and painting and things like this, but the actual manual labor, a lot of this is done by men. Pienso en la habilidad de diseñar, de construir, de crear cosas, y es lo que viene a mi mente. When it comes to the biblical principle of, in this case, of fatherhood, precisely is the actual blueprint of designs. Cuando hablamos acerca de diseños, el concepto o la idea de un padre es precisamente lo que Dios tuvo en mente desde un principio, es un diseño. When it comes to this letter of Timothy, I want you to think with me what's taking place, because these churches, which in this case the church that we're speaking of is the church in Ephesus. Es una de las iglesias en el primer siglo llamado la iglesia en la ciudad de Éfeso, una de las ciudades importantes en este tiempo donde el evangelio ha entrado. And when we speak of this letter written by Paul to Timothy, is that Paul is entrusting, is commissioning, is speaking to Timothy to take the church back to the original design. Empezar o llevar a la iglesia como líder, en este caso representante apostólico, llevar a la iglesia al diseño original que Dios tenía. What's the implication? The implication is that the church has forgotten, distorted the design that God placed at the very beginning. La iglesia se había distraído, la iglesia había permitido que se infiltrara doctrina falsa. Whatever the case may be, the design was corrupted, was twisted, was counterfeited. Is this making sense? And part of the responsibility of this young brother is to go back to the design. Now, el diseño de Dios, la mayor parte del tiempo, si piensan conmigo, el diseño de Dios es el diseño que inicia con el fin en mente. When you begin with the end in mind. Why? Because there is a specific reason why the design is created. So in my mind, because I'm a lover of sports, me encantan los deportes. Uno de ellos es el basketball. Me gusta mucho el basketball. I've been a fan of basketball for a long time. Within the last few months, I'm going to say within this year, dentro de lo que va este año en cuestión del deporte para mí, es que ha habido algunos de los jugadores que son íconos, iconic figures of basketball, professional basketball throughout the years, and some of them have passed away recently. Acaban de morir algunos de ellos. Estos son algunos de ellos que definitivamente fueron íconos en esto. En el caso de Bill Russell, por ejemplo, en este guy, uno de sus distintivos, one of the uniqueness about this brother is that literally he won, I think, 11 championships. So, cuando ven todos los anillos que tiene es por todos los campeonatos que ganó. Cuando pensamos en este señor, Bill Walton, es otro de los íconos donde, si no me equivoco, tuvo championships at a college level. Ganó a nivel colegial, ganó a nivel profesional. So they did very unique things. Now, this is the latest when it comes to people who have died. And this guy by the name of Jerry West, who just recently died, he became the logo of the NBA. So esta es la foto original de él en uno de sus juegos y lo usaron como la silueta, se dice, el logo de lo que vendría siendo la representación de esto. Now, here's the point that I'm trying to make. Obviously, these guys represent a very small percentage of individuals across generations that were able to get to this level and perform at the highest of level. ¿Sí? Muy poca gente llega a hacer lo que ellos han hecho en cuestión de profesión o de carrera, because I'm thinking of the concept of design, but also I'm thinking of the concept of calling, or in this case, the sense of vocation, la vocación que han tenido, y estos hombres lo hicieron en los niveles muy especial. Now, here's the interesting thing for me, because again, I follow a lot of this in my personal, just part of what I like to do. Uno de los distintivos cuando hablan de ellos, when people speak of them, whether it's family or peers or whatever, yeah, they speak of the accolades, they speak of the championships y todo eso. Es importante y tienen resumes que son bastante impresionantes. But you know what the conversation automatically, once you go through the resume, the thing that just goes right by default is the things that really matter. Las cosas que realmente son importantes. El legado que dejaron con sus hijos. Like current players, because obviously they die in their 70s and 80s. Los current players, los jugadores de hoy en día, cuando hablan de ellos, this is what they say. Again, nothing away from the giftedness, because they were very gifted in the sport, pero lo que hablan y donde se enfocan es en eso. This is what they actually say. I remember how they make me feel. Every time I needed something, there was a sense of mentorship and a sense of even fatherhood in that regard. Entonces, menciono todo esto porque da la impresión que independientemente cuáles sean los logros, and as men, we definitely find our worth a lot of times on our successes, what we do. ¿Sí? En lo que hacemos, ahí encontramos mucha de nuestra identidad. Nada malo con eso. My understanding is that we men are very driven towards those successes, which is perfectly fine, nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, the design, lo que Dios ha creado, la vocación que Dios nos ha puesto, es un poquito más que eso. So this morning, what I want us to do, I want us to think about this understanding, once again, speaking of a church that needs to begin with the end in mind. En el caso del apóstol Pablo, que es una persona que está un poquito más avanzada en edad, speaking to a young brother, a young pastor, and as he's launching into shepherding and trying to get some successes, Paul says you have to begin with the end in mind. Cuando pensamos en iniciar con este fin en mente, cuando tratas de visualizar hacia dónde va esto para mantener ese objetivo claro, in my mind, again, I go back to experiences that we go all the time. When you're traveling, cuando tenemos que viajar y llegas al punto en que vas a abordar el avión, yo voy a argumentar que la meta no es subirte a un avión. ¿Cuál es la meta? Subirte al avión correcto. It's not about just getting on a plane, right? It's about getting into the right plane. Why? Because if you get into the wrong plane, you're still going to get on a flight and you're going somewhere, except you're going to the wrong destination. Entonces, por eso es que tienes que iniciar el viaje. You begin with the end in mind. Where is this going? How is this supposed to end? And Paul, speaking to Timothy within this regard, Paul needs to speak to a church that tragically has forsaken or negotiated where the church is supposed to go. La pregunta es esto, como sociedad, como familias, como iglesia, ¿hacia dónde vamos? I'm going to even make my little parenthesis that I try to place into every Sunday that I'm speaking to you guys, because as a church, as we search for a pastor, it's going to be a lot better and easier to find a pastor, right, that we find compatibility. El buscar un pastor, es importante que tengamos esa compatibilidad, not only doctrinally, no solamente en la doctrina, so we better embrace what we believe, que sea compatibilidad en doctrina, en lo que creemos, but also, I'm going to use this as an analogy to speak of methodologically, de la metodología, because remember, the doctrine, what the Bible says, somebody has to put it into practice. So you take the Word of God, and then this is what it means, and this is how it's been applied. So el perfect example when it comes to applying the doctrine es el concepto de cómo lo aplicamos, el concepto de the Great Commission, to evangelize and to make disciples. Now here's my point. That's the mandate. Es lo que la Biblia enseña. Tenemos que hacerlo. La pregunta es cómo lo hacemos. How do you do that? And I'm going to argue one of the ways is precisely Vacation Bible School. Is a way to do this. Am I making sense? But it's not the only way. That's a way to do it. Es una manera de hacer o llevar a cabo la gran comisión. My point that I'm trying to make is that the methodology, cómo lo hacemos, lo determina precisamente ese aspecto del liderazgo when it comes to the leadership. So my recommendation, if we can begin with the end in mind of who we are as a church, is going to be a lot easier and much better than to find somebody that will match not only theologically and doctrinally, but also philosophically. en cuestión de metodologías, en cuestión de que tengamos afinidad en no solamente en lo que creemos, pero qué significa lo que creemos, cómo se pone en práctica eso. Now, I'm bringing this up to you again because when it comes to the role of men, which in this case, we understand that Timothy is being called to help the church to begin with the end in mind, and I'm more than convinced that for men, it's part of our task, es parte de nuestra responsabilidad de que podamos en el diseño de Dios ayudar a nuestro matrimonio, para los que estamos casados, en nuestro hogar. And by the way, let me just say this. I'm going to put my cards on the table. I should have done that at the beginning, but I'm going to tell it right now. Déjenme dejar esto bien claro. Una razón por qué un día como este es extremadamente atractivo para las damas, for you ladies, single ladies, married ladies, single again, whatever you are on this spectrum of marriage or singleness, ladies. Lo que estamos hablando esta mañana para ustedes como damas is extremely important what we're talking about because you get to choose a man, whether it's dating or eventually marriage. Para los que tenemos hijas y estamos criando hijas o nietas, si podemos retomar esta conversación y de alguna manera educar a nuestras hijas, modelarlo for us, older folks, middle age, senior adults, wherever we are in this spectrum, all that I'm trying to say to you is that as much as I want to speak to men, in reality, I want to speak to ladies. Because if you ladies don't know how the end is supposed to look like, you know exactly where this is and how to navigate this whole ups and downs of life, especially when you get to choose, once again, a young man, if you're single, if you get to raise young ladies at home, and I'm just inviting that you ladies really need to take notes. Sí, necesitan poner atención, damas, porque lo que estamos hablando esta mañana es extremadamente importante. So, men, how do we begin with the end in mind? So here we go. This is how we do this. We begin with Christ. We never begin with fatherhood. We never begin with the bride. No empezamos con la iglesia. En la búsqueda de pastor no iniciamos con nosotros. En la búsqueda de un novio o de un esposo no empezamos con nosotros. When you're looking for a job, when you're searching for a career, when you're looking for your vocation, lo que estemos haciendo en la vida nunca empezamos con nosotros. Paul is commissioning Timothy as a man, as a leader, as a shepherd, as a pastor, as an overseer, as a apostolic representative. Todos esos títulos y estas funciones que tiene Timoteo, que se le han comisionado a él, Pablo quiere asegurarse que Timoteo no inicie con él. Él no inicia con la iglesia, él no inicia con la situación, él no inicia con su juventud, él no inicia con él. Él inicia principalmente con la persona de Cristo. So, empezar con la meta, con el destino, con eso empiezas. Eso implica que para el cristiano, see, for us as Christians, the destination is not simply a place, although it is. It's called heaven. The destination for us is not simply, avoiding hell, although it's included. ¿Sí? No solamente es el evitar el infierno o el cielo. Para nosotros el destino, el final, es una persona. What you get at the end is a person. So we begin with Jesus, with the person of Jesus. This is why, vamos a say it again, es la razón, porque de la misma manera que la Biblia enseña que no nos unamos en yugo desigual, that you're not supposed to be unequally yoked, right? That we're not supposed to date outside of the faith. See, the reason why is because the commonality that we have is not simply beliefs, but is a world view. The person of Jesus is a world view. La palabra worldview o la palabra cosmovisión is simply how you make decisions in life. How do you process? So you want compatibility through the person of Jesus. Si este orden, if this pattern right here were to be reversed, si lo invertimos, es la clásica situación donde vamos a negociar la persona y la obra de Cristo in the name of, well, he makes me feel very well. Es donde empezamos a negociar porque empiezo conmigo. Entonces, si lo traducen en la cuestión de búsqueda de pastor, when you're searching for a pastor as a church, if you begin with the pastor or the church, then potentially you're going to negotiate some things that you're not supposed to. And part of what I'm trying to help us understand is that the role of, in this case, of the design, the vocation of this young man by the name of Timothy, led by another man by the name of Paul, is the understanding that it always begins with Christ, and then Christ, because of his worldview, is going to be placed and put into practice. ¿Sí? Lo que es Cristo, lo que Él dijo, lo que enseñó, Él lo vivió por 33 años. So we always say that doctrine is relational. So whatever you believe eventually comes to the surface. It's not just what you say, it's how you behave. It's not what you profess, it's how you treat others. It's not just what God has done in your life, but it's how that is experienced and contextualized in relationships. Now, eventually, sí, después de que hablamos de la persona de Cristo, hablamos de la vida de Cristo, ahora sí hablamos de la novia de Cristo. Folks, listen to me for a second. Eso es extremadamente importante. Cuando hablamos de este diseño de Dios, original de Dios, cuando hablamos del concepto de iniciar con el fin en mente, if you're trying to do this, hear me say this. This is going to be done, although you may have a responsibility, tienes una responsabilidad, una tarea como padre, como soltero, como joven, right? Estoy hablando de los hombres, varones, men, sí, but we contextualize this task, design, vocation through the Church of Jesus Christ. Esta es la razón por qué estoy enfatizando la iglesia con respecto a esto. This is the reason, because God's original design, children submit to parents. En el diseño de Dios, los hijos se someten a sus padres. In God's design, ladies or wives submit to their, say it, to the husbands, right? Las esposas a los esposos. Now, here's the big question. So, who do the husband submit to? ¿A quién se somete el esposo? ¿A quién? Who? Christ, God. Now, even though you're right, I don't know. I think you are, but here's my challenge. Here's why I struggle because I know you were going to say Christ and God. Yo sé que iban a decir que era Dios y Cristo, pero mi reto es este. Listen to my logic, okay? So, los hijos tienen que someterse a dos individuos. Kids submit to two people who are dysfunctional, which is parents, right? We're broken vessels. Hablamos de padres y es obvio que tenemos muchos issues, tenemos dificultades, pero los hijos tienen que someterse a ellos. La esposa se somete a otra persona igual de disfuncional. The wife submits to the husband, which also has a lot of issues, right? So, and how come the husband only submits to a spiritual being? A un ser celestial o espiritual, que es Dios. So you move from tangible to non-tangible. My point, all that I'm trying to say is this. Yes, husbands, men, los hombres, el esposo se somete a Dios, pero se somete a Dios a través de su representante. Y el representante de Dios en la tierra is the church. So men submit to church. What's the point? This is the point, ladies. Aquí está el punto. Y esto no es nada atractivo, pero lo voy a decir. So if you were to choose a man, ladies, that has nothing to do with Christ or the church, which to me, those are synonyms, right? No puedes decir que te interesa Cristo o Dios sin su iglesia. If you were to choose a man that has no relationship or submission to the church, this is what you're asking for. You're basically asking for you to submit to somebody that is going to lead you, alguien que te va a liderar o va a gobernar sobre ti, but has no authority over him. So, el diseño de Dios es autoridad debajo de sumisión. Es authority under submission. So, going back to the pastor search, when you're searching for a pastor, you want to see the track record of that brother when it comes to how he has submitted to leadership in the church. Because if the pastor is going to be empowered to lead you, he needs to be a great follower. Is that making sense? En la medida en que te sometes, es en la medida en que tienes dominio. How do I know this? Go back to Genesis. In Genesis chapter 3, God places man and Eve together to have dominion, to subdue the earth, to multiply, to rule over creation. Es el concepto de dominio sobre la creación, sobre el sojuzgar la tierra. Y todo eso lo hace. God places Adam and Eve to do this because he is in charge. God is in charge and he's basically having them as stewards, managers. Solamente son administradores de ello. So what we're trying to do here when it comes to beginning with the end in mind is to get men to come back to the understanding of a stewardship. Para realmente que el hombre pueda ser mayordomo. So as you, watch this, so as you oversee and you rule over your family, conforme estás señoreando o gobernando tu esposa, gobernando tus hijos, in reality that ruling and overseeing, listen to me, ese concepto de tener dominio y de tener señorío sobre tu hogar, what really is basically training and teaching your wife and your kids to be good stewards. Sí, es el de que mi trabajo como padre es ayudar a mis hijos y a mis nietos a que empiecen con, ¿qué cosa? Con el fin en mente. So podemos, cuando tomamos decisiones, yo sé hacia dónde va esto. What's the destination? Where are we going? And I believe, biblically speaking, this is the blueprint. The question is, if or since we're going to follow God's model, la pregunta es, ¿cómo se ve el end product? ¿Cómo se ve esto al final de la conversación? Y otra vez, la iglesia a través de los años, this is the struggle for the last 2,000 years. Porque Timoteo está hace 2000 años, esta carta, we're going back to 2,000 years, and for the last 2,000 years, this has been the back and forth, the struggle in all this. So here's the point. How does it look at the end? This is what it looks like at the end. At the end, it's not a guarantee that this is going to work. It's simply that it's going to give you the ability, te da la habilidad de lidiar con lo que se conoce como doctrina falsa. So this is the falsification, this is the counterfeiting. So I'm going to say that again. Even though you may have embraced, believe, affirm this, that doesn't make you immune. There is no... Ok, es lo que quiero decir, ok, explicarlo de esta manera. El hecho de que afirmemos esto y que me caso con alguien o mi hija se casa con alguien que tienen la misma mentalidad, la misma creencia, esto no garantiza. There is no guarantees in life. And by the way, when you affirm God's original plan, you do not, listen to me, you do not, esto no implica que estoy poniendo a Dios, en inglés se dice poner a Dios en la silla de los acusados, meaning you don't put God on your debt. And all that I'm trying to tell you is that if I do this right, then God owes me. No. God owes you absolutely nothing. There is no guarantees. So all that I'm trying to tell you is that lo que implica eso es que cuando iniciamos con el fin en mente, lo que hace es que crea lo que se llama en inglés awareness. Y lo que me permite distinguir y ponerme, here's the concept of offensiveness and defensiveness. So instead of protecting, I'm attacking. I'm proactive because now I am fully aware that this is the reality against my marriage. This is the reality against the church. This is the reality against my family, against our time. Porque el concepto de falsificación, de falsa doctrina, el concepto de que eventualmente mis hijos, mis nietos empiezan a distraerse de ese destination, donde en lugar de pensar long term y pensar en el investment del cual no solamente es en esta vida, pero es más allá de esta vida, look at me. See, instead of thinking through the understanding of what is to come, now potentially when this reality hits you, this is the concept of instant gratification. Es el concepto de que ahora se trata de acumular, de gastar, se trata de domesticar. You domesticate, you start thinking logically, and this is why you don't go to church. This is why you used to go to church. This is why, and then you start bringing in the reasoning. Am I making any sense? Sí, empezamos a crear nuestra propia lógica y entendimiento. All that I'm asking you to do is that, once again, once you embrace God's original design, this is my point, God's original design. Once you do that, no es la garantía de que la cosa va a mejorar si afirmamos eso. Lo que hace es que te recuerda y te pone en el sentido de awareness. Porque la mayor parte del tiempo el problema no es falsification. La mayor parte del tiempo, the issue many times is not the counterfeiting of leadership or the person or doctrine. The issue most of the time is not knowing that you've been engaged or presented something that is counterfeiting. Y de repente, para cuando te das cuenta, el daño ya está hecho. Y dijiste tú, ¿a qué horas? Pero si le confié. Pero es que, me explico, empiezas a decir. Entonces, el punto aquí es que tenemos que estar conscientes de ello. And then it's reflected on how we function, how the family functions, how our society functions, the structures, the systems on how we navigate all of this. Is it making sense? Anybody? I'm going fast, I know. ¿Sí? ¿Tiene sentido esto? Porque quiero que vean cómo Pablo habla a él en ese aspecto. Aquí es donde hablamos acerca de la esencia de la iglesia. And when I use the word church, I want to use the word marriage. I want to interchangeably bring the word marriage, parenting, fatherhood, whatever, singleness. Sí, es el concepto de que la iglesia existe para predicar el evangelio. This is gospel exposition, and the gospel determines its practice through the ordinances. So we practice water baptism, and then we practice the Lord's Supper. Son las ordenanzas entre lo que es, llamamos esto el bautismo del creyente. So sumergimos a la persona, porque el bautismo para nosotros, baptism for us is not how you get saved. Baptism is the result that you are saved. Are you tracking what I'm saying? So it doesn't save you, it's because you're saved, that's when you get baptized. So las ordenanzas, y lo último es church discipline. Folks, I'm just inviting you, I'm just helping us understand that Timothy is navigating a church, that all of this has been corrupted, all of this is reflected how they are structured, and Paul commissions Timothy and says, you gotta take charge of this by going back and begin with the end in mind. So Timothy, how are you gonna do that? Here's how you do it. You, however, Timothy, verse 14, what do? ¿Qué es lo que está pidiendo que haga? ¿Cuál es el imperativo, el mandato? Necesito que, ¿qué es lo opuesto? What's the opposite of persistence and continuation? What's the opposite? Quitear? Yeah, you quit, right? You give up? So do we have men and women, but especially men, do we have men who are giving up today? In God, in their families? La palabra que hoy en día se usa mucho es la palabra deconstruction. Have you heard that word before? The deconstruction of the faith. This is what I used to believe. Now I don't believe that. I used to go to church. So Paul is basically saying, hey, this is what you do because you're not leading the ideal church. You're leading the real church. And here's the thing. You don't have control over how the church, the family, the marriage, the finances, the health is going to come out. You don't have control. But what you do have control, lo que tienes control es esto, es que te asegures que tú no te rindes. So you got to continue. Ladies, listen to me. This is why you got to be very careful. This is why what you don't want to do when it comes to choosing a man, dating a man, and then marrying a man, eso es lo que nos recomendamos en la cuestión de noviazgo, en la cuestión de matrimonio, que tomen decisiones en lo que llamamos en una island, donde simplemente está, en otras palabras, si la persona, if the person is not willing to come and meet your family and meet the church where you attend, and all that he wants is a relationship in the backseat of a car, it's not going to work out. Are you tracking? Why? Because you want to see somebody that is willing to continue. It's not going to quit. It's not going to give into those things. So in this case, we're speaking of continuation. You need to continue in the things you have learned. So aparentemente esta cuestión de continuar no solamente refleja en lo que está describiendo de qué es lo que quiere que continúe, but in this case, he's describing the object, the reason why you continue. So this is not just resilience. This is not just determination and eagerness. Eso es importante que tenga ese carácter fuerte, pero ¿cuál es la razón de ello? Si está continuando, ¿en qué cosa? So here's my point. This continuation, this resilience and perseverance, listen to me, esta cuestión de perseverar y de no rendirse está basado, watch this, en un espíritu, this is a character issue of teachability, en la cuestión de ser enseñable. And here's the challenge for most men, for most of us, ¿sí? Típicamente como hombres, and ladies, this is going to be free, I'm not going to charge for this. But two things. Number one, our tendency as men is to be fixers. ¿Sí? No nos gusta simplemente solucionar las cosas. So you don't have to give me the long story. Just tell me what the issue is and we'll fix it. Whatever it is, let's just fix it. Y muchas veces la mujer no está buscando que alguien le haga fix el issue. The woman is just trying to ventilate, to share. Anyways, this is not a marriage seminar, nothing like that. But here's the point. Number one. Second thing, listen to me, ladies, listen to me. You should be taking notes on this. No solamente como varones somos fixers, right? Nos gusta arreglar las cosas. La segunda cosa como varones, we typically, most of the time, and I'm speaking from little boys, ¿sí? De los que tienen 2 años, 5 años y 62 años, ¿ok? Todo varón. I'm generalizing. Típicamente como varones, we do not respond to words. No respondemos a palabras. Esa cuestión de que ya te le dije, levanta los calcetines. Have you ever seen the mom at the HEB and said 1, 2, speaking to the 2-year-old, 3, warning, does not work. Have you heard of the word nagging? Sí, y no quiero ofender a nadie, pero es la cuestión de que los hombres no respondemos a palabras. We respond to consequences. This is why you don't want to do marriage, life, dating. You don't want to do it in an island. You need to do it in community. You need to listen to the counsel of others. Porque lo que otros ven, me explico, te están advirtiendo, están diciendo, hey, this is not going to work out. Just experience, just common sense. Why would you do this? Obviously for us, this is something that we do in the community of believers. Es el concepto de eso. Entonces, cuando hablamos acerca de esto, estamos hablando de un teachable spirit en la persona, en el hombre. So again, because we as men, we struggle to be teachable. Porque ya sea lo que viene siendo el pridefulness, soberbias en español, ya sea que nos creemos saberlo todo, and again, because we're fixers, remember? We just fix things. We don't have time to go through so típicamente lo que queremos, por eso es que dijimos que hijos se someten a sus padres, children submit to the parents, and then wives to husbands, and husbands submit to, who do the husbands submit to? To the church. Why? Because the church is the place where you are going to, say it, what are you going to do in church? You don't learn. Now, tragically, as a pastor, I've been doing this for about 3 decades. Como pastor, mucha de la tragedia en el pastorado es que eventualmente los hombres vienen a la iglesia a buscar esto, pero ya vienen cuando ya les anda, cuando el agua ya está hasta aquí, ya la esposa ya se les fue. And then, does that make sense? Porque somos reactionary. Does that make sense? We reaction to this. Look at me. Ladies. Again, I'm completely biased, right? Estoy hablando con mucho prejuicio. Escuchen lo que voy a decir. Sí, mucha de esta actitud de falta de sencillez o de ese teachable spirit del men, muchas veces existe porque ustedes lo permiten. Because you ladies allowed this. And you allowed this by choosing it, because when you were dating, he was exactly the same guy. That he didn't want anything to do with anybody. Just wanted isolation. It's his way. Does that make sense? Porque otra vez, en la mente del hombre es because I'm the provider, you know, I'm doing my thing. And I'm like, well, listen to me. The fact that you provide, no le haces ningún favor a nadie just by providing, because that's the minimum you're supposed to do. I'm supposed to do as a provider. Does that make sense? So I don't get to define my role. That's the point. I don't get to define what I'm supposed to do. The role begins through the person of Jesus. And if Jesus, or since Jesus is the husband, he's the groom, he's the shepherd of the church. Observen, si Cristo es el modelo a seguir, como el líder, como el pastor, como el esposo de la iglesia, how did Jesus lead? How did Jesus, govern the church? La manera en que Cristo va a gobernar su iglesia es a través de una humillación que lo llevó a exaltación. So Jesus humbled himself so he can be exalted. So the way we lead is literally through the understanding that we model this. By the way, what I just described is exactly the antidote of what is happening in the church. Pídame tantito, escucha lo que voy a decir. Este es el antídoto de lo que está pasando en la iglesia. Here's my point, and I'm fixing to, we got to pray. We got to go and have lunch with fathers today. Escuchen lo que voy a decir. El antídoto para la iglesia, and this is not a church in turmoil, observe that Paul is not telling Timothy how to fix the church. Pablo no está diciéndole cómo tiene que lidiar con una esposa rebelde, un hijo, un nieto. No. Pablo está lidiando con Timothy at a personal level. This is about you, Timothy. Because if you're willing to submit and begin with the end in mind, remember, end in mind, God's design, then now, si seguimos el blueprint, si seguimos los planos, el plan original de Dios, eso permite que ahora Dios entre y de una manera sobrenatural. Because you need the supernatural. See, when it comes to the church, when it comes to the family, when it comes to our world, we need the supernatural intervention of the God of the Bible. Y el poder de Dios que es sobrenatural, escucha lo que dice, ese poder de Dios no solamente está accesible, pero está accesible de acuerdo al diseño de Él. So God established designs for Him to operate. So if you and I violate the design, ignore the design, or completely just in defiance, move the design away, it's impossible that God actually is going to operate. El ejemplo que puedo usar con respecto a esto del diseño de Dios es precisamente la salvación. When it comes to your salvation, if you were to come to know Christ, la manera en que somos salvos, el diseño de Dios es que el hombre tiene que poner su fe en Cristo. Does that make sense? You have to put your faith in Christ. That's God's design. What's the point? That just because you breathe, just because you... Sí, otra vez, en la manera en que la gente piensa hoy en día, this is how our world thinks today. People today, and I'm speaking as a pastor, that I get to do a lot of funerals. Como pastor, when you walk into a funeral, which is a very special time and very difficult time for people, obviously, the unspoken rule, esto es lo que la gente asume, que el único requisito para ir al cielo, this is the only requirement for you to go to heaven, die. Es todo lo que necesitas, morirte. Si tú te mueres, vas al cielo. That's not God's design. Para ir al cielo, tienes que aceptar ¿a quién? A Cristo. There is a design. There is something that God established. And I'm bringing this up because we don't begin with the end in mind. Anyways, all that to say, this is the antidote. What's the antidote? Antidote to what? Aquí está el problema. Just quickly, here's the issue. So I'm reading backwards, right? Empecé aquí, en el 14 me estoy regresando. Look at 13. This is the issue. Evil people and imposters, counterfeiting people, will proceed from bad to worse, deceiving and being deceived. Este era el cáncer, este era el problema que había en la iglesia. Falsification, lack of trust, backstabbing. People that you thought that they were genuine. And then, listen, people who thought that they were genuine and they were like confused. I thought that I was a Christian, I was saved. Sí, el punto es de que empieza a normalizarse esta cuestión de deception, de negar la fe, otra vez deconstruction of the faith. Es la cuestión de que piensan que son y no lo son. Entonces, ¿cómo puedes asegurarte que esto es genuino? Otra vez, aquí es donde entendemos que lo que encontramos, we're having a generation 2,000 years ago who were not able to persevere. They were quitting, and that's the point. They were not. So again, I'm just thinking as a father. I'm thinking very soon as a grandfather. I'm just thinking, how do you raise a generation who is not going to depend on circumstances? ¿Cómo le hacemos para que la iglesia sea confiada a la siguiente generación, nuestra iglesia, a hombres y mujeres que no solamente conozcan la palabra de Dios, pero la palabra de Dios es expresada, es cristalizada a través de qué cosa? A través de perseverancia. Do not quit. No nos rindamos. Obviamente, el producto de esta perseverancia es el Dios que en su misericordia preserva. So, if you're here, if you're in this place and you're saved, and you've been saved, and by the way, Vacation Bible School is going to be the beginning of people being saved. Young kids, todo tipo de personas será salva. El punto es que esa salvación depende del Dios que preserva. You don't get to finish the race unless God sustains you. That's all that I'm trying to tell you. So here's what he says. Now you follow. Once again, you follow. Y está hablando de, esto está en pasado, ¿sí? Tú has seguido. Ya lo hiciste anteriormente. So this is crunch time. You're at the crossroads. This is it. There's no turning back, right? Estás en esa situación y dice, tú has seguido mi enseñanza. Look at the teachability. So again, I'm thinking through the lenses of choosing a boyfriend, choosing a spouse, raising a child, leading a church. If I'm going to lead a church, okay, this is what I need to. This is one of the character traits or qualifications of someone who is trustworthy to lead my family, to lead my daughter, to lead our church. Is somebody that is able to, what is it? Es importante que sepas, pero es más importante que sigas, que seas moldeable, que seas enseñable, that you follow my teaching, conduct, purpose, faith, patience, love, perseverance. So en este caso, Pablo no está diciendo, hey, yo sé que fuiste al seminario y aprendiste y tienes todos esos degrees. Thank you, Jesus, for education. Thank you for teachers. Thank you, Jesus. Todo es importante, pero esa enseñanza tiene que ser cristalizada because now this right here, folks, these are not skills. This is character. This is not what you do. This is who you are. ¿No? ¿Sí? Háblenme. Por favor. Entonces, tenemos una generación de jóvenes y de niños y de adultos extremadamente, decimos la palabra gifted, extremadamente capaces en un montón de cosas. Pero, ¿qué es lo que batallamos hoy en día? Batallamos en teachability. We struggle with teachability. That's a character trait. And then, how do you develop that in this case? Persecutions, sufferings. Timothy, you have seen all of this with me. I didn't just teach you these things. We went through this, such as happened to me at Antioch, at Iconium, and at Lystra. What persecutions I endure, and out of them all the Lord rescued me. Ok, necesito terminar, pero tal vez la próxima semana podemos concluir. Pero escuchen lo que voy a decir. Por favor, escuchen. Because we spoke of vocation. Hablamos del diseño original de Dios, hablamos de la vocación, el llamado que tenemos. When it comes to fatherhood, to manhood, when it comes to God's design, headship, structure, hierarchy, jerarquía, diseño, estructura, ¿sí? Headship, ¿saben lo que es headship? O sea, esa cuestión de alguien que dirige y gobierna, por favor, bendito. Sí, todo eso que es el diseño de Dios, siempre, it's always for the purpose to be reproduced. It's not for the purpose just to exercise it and place myself in this, place of influence, of authority. All of that is included, and you need to have somebody who actually exercises that. But the exercise is, because what Paul is basically saying to Timothy, you got to see that from me. So I'm not asking you to do something just because it's right, although it's right. Pero te estoy pidiendo que hagas algo porque si tú lo viste de mí y lo viviste conmigo, no fue solamente para que fueras un buen pastor o un buen líder o un buen hombre. Because now, Timothy, you went through all this with me, and you have seen me that I did not quit. I'm not quitting. By the way, Timoteo es una de esas pastoral letters. Está primera de Timoteo. Tito y 2 Timoteo. So 3 books in the New Testament. This is the point. These are the last letters that he's going to write before he gets decapitated and he dies for the sake of Christ. So I'm not just telling you what I believe, I'm telling you what I have shown you. Entonces, en el concepto de ser padre, de ser esposo, de ser varón, que Dios nos ha puesto en esa posición, nos ha posicionado en liderazgo, headship, we must exercise it with the end in mind for the purpose of multiplication. Es el concepto de succession, es el concepto de pasar la estafeta, you passing the baton to the next generation. So let's not just focus on who we are and what we do, let's focus on how we are duplicating. Sí, lo último que deseamos, please listen, lo último que deseamos, this is the one thing that we don't want to see happening. And this is what I'm going to have to speak to the young people. So, young people, listen to me. Esto es lo último que deseamos. The last thing that we desire is for us to be the last generation to embrace biblical understanding and then have a gap of 2 or 3 generations until someone else comes later and comes back to the Lord, because we lost the kids, we lost the grandkids. ¿Me explico? Cuando perdimos los nietos, perdemos a los hijos, porque aquí crecieron en la iglesia. ¿Y dónde están ahora? Where are they? Where is their leadership? Where is the worldview that is manifested how they make decisions today? Let's come back to assume not just what we're supposed to be, what we're supposed to do, but needs to be multiplied, needs to be reproduced, needs to be brought in a holistic manner as we move forward as men and women. ¿Tiene sentido esto, hermanos? Are we making sense on this multiplication? La razón que estoy preguntando y tiene sentido is because a week from today, we launch and we are creating and we have the opportunity to see the new generation come to hear the gospel. Y eso se le llama Vacation Bible School. La Escuela Bíblica de Vacaciones, que es uno de los ministerios más efectivos de la iglesia local, existe precisamente para crear las oportunidades, los contextos para que el evangelio sea presentado. And this is a communal effort, this is a holistic effort. Todos lo hacemos como iglesia. But, here's the but, okay? Y esa es la invitación de esta mañana. Como esta es una experiencia donde vamos a estar compartiendo el evangelio con la nueva generación, young people, young ladies, young men, I'm going to invite all of our men. Esta mañana quiero invitar a nuestros varones, ¿sí? A que pasen aquí al frente conmigo for a couple of reasons. Number one is Father's Day, so we're going to pray with you and pray for you. Number one. Second is that we have some presents for you, okay? Ahí están unos regalos para ustedes. Pero la cosa más importante, this is the part that I would like for you guys to think with me for a second, is precisely what we have said, that the role that God has entrusted you, el papel, el diseño, la tarea que ha confiado en tus manos, es con el propósito de ser multiplicada. It needs to reproduce in the lives of others. So in the same manner that we are searching for a pastor and we want to follow God's direction, follow God's qualifications, de la misma manera como buscamos un pastor y pensamos en eso, it's exactly the same mindset as our kids look for a career, look for a spouse, look for whatever is coming their way. Same principle, same mindset, is with the same intentionality. We begin with Christ, Christology, the person of Jesus. We move into the lifestyle of Jesus, which is missiology, just what Jesus did, not just what he said, but what he did. And then we speak about ourselves. So when you speak and pray for your kids and your grandkids, again, the prayer is, let's begin with Christ, not with my kid, not with the need, not with whatever is going on. It's Christ. So en la búsqueda de un pastor, ¿con quién iniciamos? Iniciamos con el pastor de los pastores. No iniciamos con el pastor, iniciamos con Cristo. Jesus sets the tone. Jesus is the standard. And then what is it that Jesus did? And whatever he did, that's what we're striving for. Estamos buscando imitar a Cristo en todo esto. Entonces, Vacation Bible School is the opportunity to reintroduce these principles, but we need you, man. We need all of us to come together. So,